With Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel, the third-person shooter series, best known for its fraternal attitude, has definitely lost its way. Although never groundbreaking, the two previous entries had an endearing sense of stupidity that kind of made them fun. After surviving a firefight, mercenary bros Salem and Rios would break out their air guitars in celebration. But in Devil's Cartel, those irreverent asides are gone, and to a large extent, so are Salem and Rios. Instead, we get a pair of generic and uninteresting characters to go along with a generic and uninteresting co-op shooter. It's still Army of Two, but only in name.
When I find this El Diablo, shoving a grenade up his ass.
The Devil's Cartel looks uninspired. It takes you to a variety of locations, but they all feel pretty drab and lifeless. Even the ones filled with Day of the Dead decorations and boxes full of fireworks. Speaking of drab and lifeless, new characters Alpha and Bravo lack the chemistry of the original pair. You never get to know them, and their banter is just awful.
Yeah, and neither is bullet cancer. Now focus up.
An equally bland story sends our undynamic duo to Mexico on a mission to rescue a political hostage. This quickly spirals into taking down an entire cartel, which has amassed an army of its own. There are no civilians or bystanders in this country, just wave after wave of cookie-cutter enemies. The campaign is frequently interrupted by insistent score updates that add little to the overall experience. You're awarded points for different types of kills and co-op actions, and are given a global ranking. While your ranking increases, the overall effect has little impact on gameplay. The unlocks are limited to guns and gear, but the arsenal is small and lacks real personality.
Sit back and relax. I just might beat my record.
There's no competitive multiplayer this time, because EA wanted to create a very intense co-op campaign. This is baffling since interaction between the two characters seems less central to the experience than ever before. The riot shield puts in an appearance now and then, and you have to flank the odd turret, but these moments are infrequent, and for the most part, it doesn't feel like a co-op experience at all. You can progress just as easily looking out for yourself. Although never the most complex series, The Devil's Cartel is a simplified and less varied iteration. There's no aggro meter or morality moments this time around. You'll still rescue hostages, escort VIPs, and man turrets both on the ground and in the air. And you'll do that again and again and again in a variety of locations. After a while, Devil's Cartel settles into a monotonous rhythm from which it never deviates. You shoot people in corridors, you make last stands in open spaces, you flank turrets, and you'll do this in churches, in hotels, in junkyards, and haciendas. But regardless of the location, it always feels the same. It attempts to relieve the monotony with set pieces, but they're underwhelming. One new addition is the overkill mode. Once you fill the gauge, you become invincible for a limited time, with each bullet dealing extra explosive damage. It occasionally gets you out of trouble, but adds very little to the overall experience. The campaign's relentless slog could have been softened if the actual gameplay mechanics were satisfying, but they're not. They're just infuriating and shoddy. The cover system is by far the worst offender. Moving between cover is unnecessarily tricky. I couldn't always select the cover I wanted, and sometimes I couldn't get into cover at all. This is all exacerbated by how little mobility the main characters possess. Alpha and Bravo can't roll to avoid enemy fire. Frequently, you'll get shot through no fault of your own. I mean, you're supposed to be an elite soldier of fortune, but at times you feel like an idiot statue on roller skates. And the enemies are easily the worst aspect, because the AI is just laughable. They just charge out of cover with a death wish, and they'll let you run up and stab them without even thinking of firing first. Just look at these two idiots. Why can't they see your torch? Mercifully, the partner AI is good. He can always be counted upon to revive you, and not get into too much trouble on his own. The Devil's Cartel feels like a hollowed-out version of previous installments. The distinctive edges have been sanded down, creating something that's not just generic, but unrelated to what went before. The humour has been drained, and long-time fans of the series might feel aggrieved by the decision to sideline Salem and Rios. Saying that, Army of Two, The Devil's Cartel is still probably best experienced with a friend. But if you like that person, you might just want to save them from this tedious experience. If you still want to know more about Army of Two, keep it on IGN.